Well, this football club, they never cease to amaze you, do they? They were 3-1 up going into added time, completely coasting into the second round of the Carabao Cup for the first time in 5 years. And then Hull City did Hull City things. Contrived to draw the game 3-3 and then lose on penalties. It had to be seen to be believed. They were... Yeah, so Hull City are basically out of the Carabao Cup yet again at the first round stage. And that doesn't even begin to tell the tale of what was an absorbing cup tie. It really was. Pretty much from the first minute, I thought City were good tonight. They played... this is still a new group, a new manager, still finding their way, of course. But they were good for periods of time tonight, and the fact that they came from a goal down in the first half after 30 minutes, equalised 5 minutes later through Ollie McBurney, a really good goal, and then went to, as I say, they were 3-1 up. Joel Ndala scored to make it 2-1, and then Matt Crooks scored to make it 3-1, and they were in complete control going into the final stages. There were fans. We because it's such an old ground, we were right in the heart of the main stand, just behind me actually, and fans were some of the home fans were furious. They were getting up and walking out, and then bang, Ollie Palmer, and if you've seen the documentary, you'll know about Ollie Palmer's struggles over the last year or so, and he scored twice in the space of a minute, 2 crosses, 2 headers, 2 goals, and they go from coasting and being in the next round to 3-3. And no extra time, so it went straight to penalties. And you kind of felt that when it went to penalties, that was it. City's chance had gone. The momentum was with Wrexham. The crowd were obviously those fans that had left had come back in. And in truth, Dylan Phillips in goal never looked like saving a penalty. Wrexham scored 4. Well, they scored all 4. Joel Ndala hit the crossbar, and he was the one that missed. Casey Palmer scored for City, Abu Kamara scored for City, and Ryan Giles scored for City, but unfortunately Ndala hit the crossbar. And as I say, Dylan Phillips never got near any of the 4 that went past him. Some good penalties, but as I say, you just never felt that he was going to get a hand to one and keep one out, and that was it. Palmer scored, and then Jack Marriott scored what proved to be the winning spot kick, so they lost 5-3 on penalties. So look, it's difficult. Everybody's frustrated tonight because City have completely and utterly caved in that final couple of minutes. In that, what do we have? Just checking, 91 and 92 minutes they conceded. But what I would say is, yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's another cup game that City have failed to win. But if you contrast that with going out to Doncaster a year ago, the feeling around it is very different. And there was a lot to like about the performance tonight. He made 6 changes, Djukirovic, from the team that drew at Coventry. Obviously, one of those was in goal with Dylan Phillips coming in. There was no Shemi Ajayi, and unfortunately, the news on Shemi Ajayi isn't great. He's done his hamstring, and for a player that's struggled with his hamstring over the last year, that's a real blow. He's having a scan tomorrow, Wednesday, to determine the extent of that injury. So we knew there was going to be no Shemi. So John Egan and Charlie Hughes were the 2 central defenders, Gilo and Drame on the left and right respectively, Regan and Lundstrom in the middle. You had Tinsdale, Palmer and Gowhart, the midfield 3 behind McBurney, and they created some good chances. There was a really good chance. The cross came in early doors now. McBurney headed it, or went for the head, couldn't quite connect. There was another chance where he fashioned an opportunity and forced a good save from the goalkeeper. And then they fell behind, deflected shot, but they responded really well. Brilliant move as well. Dromey bombing down the right-hand side, playing it out to Gowhart. Gowhart laid it back. Dromey went on, crossed it for McBurney to score at the near post. So goal for McBurney. The second goal in the second half on 70 minutes. Gowhart down the right-hand side, crossed for Ndala at the back post to slot in. Brilliant. Again, a really well-worked goal. And the third goal, Casey Palmer just didn't give up on a ball that looked like it was going to go out by the post, crossed it in. Crooks at the back post, tapped in. And as I say, 3-1 with, 9 minutes to go, plus stoppage time, you're thinking, I've nearly not broken my glasses there. That'd have kept it off. you're thinking 9 minutes to go. They were just playing out. They were just playing out time. They were so comfortable. As I say, the Wrexham, this place was quiet. The fans were going. Wrexham had absolutely no clue of what to do. City were just keeping the ball, and then bang, they get a cross comes in from the right hand side. Palmer heads it, and it's 3-2. And you're like, oh, here we go, 91 minutes. And then bang, before you barely kicked off, and you're like, I'm typing away goal. Next thing, cross, bang, goal, and you're like, yeah, it's football. It happens. Yeah, so I just, what can you say? What can you say? It's the madness of football. Can't fault the drama, and I promised I wouldn't mention Hollywood, but it was the Hollywood ending, wasn't it? And fair play to them. You look, give them credit. They were out of the game at 3-1, dead and buried, and they've sent on Ollie Palmer, as I say, who's had a really difficult year or so. Looked like he was going to be out of the football club. He's come back and he scored 2, and he's got him in the next round, and fair play. But for City, look, I think in the cold light of day, there'll be a lot. I think there was a lot to admire about that performance. There was a lot I really liked. At 3-1, they looked like a real football team. They looked like a very, very good, strong championship football team. They're still a work in progress, and they will be for a little while yet, because they've got so many new players. And obviously, you've got 75 minutes into McBurney, best part of that into Joe Gowhart tonight. And Darla's, I know he'll be devastated, the poor young lad, about the penalty, but the fact he was electrifying when he was on for his performance. He scored on the replay, it looked like a simple tap in, but the fact he was up with play, he was the man at the back post, ready for that tap in. There was, as I say, there was a lot to admire. I really like McBurney up front. That's his first game since I think the last game of the La Liga season back at the end of May. Obviously, he had 20 minutes or 30 minutes given injury time at Coventry, but from the start, and you're always kind of worrying with somebody like McBurney. He's not played for so long. He's had no pre-season in the context of playing games. He's not, yes, he's been training with Barnsley and on his own, but that doesn't, you can't replicate playing 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes in pre-season games. So there's always that in the back of your mind that potentially he could tweak a hamstring the longer it goes on. But I thought that he was knackered by the end of it, but he ran well, he held the ball up, he brought players into it, obviously getting off the mark as well. That's always key, isn't it? And that's something that Carl Joseph hasn't been able to do, which is really unfortunate, that McBurney's got off the mark on his first start. He's got a goal, a poacher's goal, if you like, near post finish. So I think, look, as I say, it's Hull City in the Carabao Cup. And to be fair, the manager said to me yesterday, I'm cursed. I hope it doesn't go to penalties, because I'm cursed. I've never won a penalty shoot, and that was in my mind when it went to penalties. But they've got to learn from it. Look, we can smile about it because it's the cup. It's not the end of the world. We all wanted a cup run, obviously, and we said this last year, that going out didn't help them because it didn't give them extra games to get minutes into players. And it's the same thing, the same sort of principle this time. They could do with an extra couple of games to get players fit. Firmino has come off the bench tonight and to replace Egan, and they've conceded 2 goals from headers. So he needs games, and obviously now with Semi Ajayi looking like he's going to be out for a period of time, that's a real blow for City. That was always we said it at the top. I think if you remember back to the podcasts we did in the summer, we were saying, like, on paper, like, Semi Ajayi is a fantastic signing, brilliant. He's played 200 games in the Championship, but his injury record was the concern. Same with John Egan, fantastic player at this level, but obviously had injury problems last year, and that was the worry with letting Jonesy and McLaughlin go. They were durable. They played 40-odd games a season, and so that was the worry, and it's come home to roost already. City have lost Ajayi. We don't know the severity of it. Originally, they were saying it was, he could have played tonight if need be, and it was just precaution. Now, obviously, the mood music has changed a little. It doesn't look good. Was the words that Sergei said to me, and he's obviously got a scan as Shemi on tomorrow, Wednesday. So fingers crossed, it's not as bad as first fear, because I thought he was a colossus at Coventry on Saturday, so he'll be a real blow. But alas, look, it gives them it now gives the other 3 an opportunity, and Charlie and another. But look, the headline of B is they completely gassed out and they threw away. There'll be a lot of criticism coming their way because they were 3-1 up going into injury time. They drew 3-3 and lost on penalties. But there's a lot in that performance that I would be encouraged by. They scored 3 goals, which is great. If you take into account what we saw at Coventry, and for 91 minutes today, there's a lot to be optimistic about. There's a lot to admire. As I said before, I just think they look like a really good football team. And you know, there was a lot of changes tonight. There's still players to come in. We've got Miller and Bellumi to come back, though the caveat, and I will keep saying this, is the cautionary tale about Miller and Bellumi is they've been out for so long, you can't expect them to come back and be at full tilt straight away. You've only got to look at Rodri with Manchester City. Did his ACL at the start of the year, came back, he kind of featured in pre-season, and now I think he's done his thigh or something, so he's now out for a period of time. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I don't want to be negative, obviously, because I love both of them. I think they're brilliant footballers, and I can't wait to see them back. But I think we can't expect Miller and Bellumi to come straight back into the team and be at full tilt and not have any. We just have to hope that when they come back, they have the bit of luck that City just never seem to get with injuries. You know, obviously Ajay's gone down again. Let's hope when Miller and Bellumi do come back that they can stave off any muscular injuries that you so often get when you've had ACL operations. So. Yeah, but like I say, I thought Ndala was brilliant when he came on. You know, so there's a lot. As I say, I thought Lundstrom again in the midfield, orchestrating things in midfield. I thought Drame and Gilo. I mean, Giles again was very good. It's just like I say, yeah, they went a goal down, deflected shot. It can happen. It's football. But for the most part, I thought they did really well. They gave up a couple of chances. There was an early chance in the second half. Probably should have been warned actually. Cross into the box and I think it was Ryan Hardy was peeled away unmarked. It was right at the start of the second half, almost from the kick-off, and he peeled off and flicked a header wide. So a bit of a warning about the crossing thing. I thought they defended crosses relatively well at Coventry. There was a lot of crosses coming in from Sakamoto on one side and Ephraim Mason-Clark on the near side, and they dealt with it relatively well. I wonder how much they missed Ajay tonight. Just that commanding presence, that ability to step out and just read danger. But obviously, he's not going to be there, so it's going to need to be Firmino, Egan or Charlie Hughes. So, yeah, look, obviously hugely gutted to have bid 3-1 up and heading into the second round, and just that positivity that the fans singing "Moored by the Tigers" at 3-1. They were having a good time. There was brilliant support tonight, by the way. 1,100 that have come all this way on a Tuesday night. And credit to Wrexham as well, by the way, for getting the ticket pricing. I think it was a tenner for adults. Absolutely brilliant. And the ground was packed. I mean, there's only 3 sides of it, but it was packed. So yeah, it is devastating, but I don't think it changes. I don't get the feeling it changes that level of the positivity that's being built, you know, under this manager, and the players are playing. As I said, I thought there were elements to tonight where they played really well. And yeah, Wrexham will say we made a lot of changes. We didn't have Jack Marriott, we didn't have Josh Windass, Lewis O'Brien was on the bench. Obviously, Kiefer Moore's now injured, etc. Ryan Longman did start, by the way. But look, City made a lot of changes as well. I thought the goalkeeper looked rusty, didn't look completely. He made one save in the first half, which it was a shot from the edge of the box. It bounced off his chest and straight out. He went out and got the second ball. But against a better team with better quality players, you might in a championship game you might be punished. You might be, that might be in the back of the net. So I think Phillips looked a bit rusty, and obviously, as I say, didn't get near a penalty. But you know, Pandor's your number one. Unless there's a massive offer comes in for Pandor, I can't see him going. The Middlesbrough, there is interest. Middlesbrough do like him. There is interest there, but there's been no formal bid. Yeah, Tom, I think that's the takeaway, isn't it? And that's what the gaffer said to me just now, was that they've got to learn from this. And you don't want to lose any game, or they've not lost a game in 90 minutes, but you don't want to, you don't want to be 3-1 up away from home at I don't know, Leicester City, and then suddenly draw 3-3 or lose 4-3 because you've switched off. So this is a massive learning experience. At least they've got it out of the way here now. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. They've got to deal with it, and they've got to learn from this and not let it happen again. Because this, you can see that there's the quality there. They will go away from home, and they will be winning in games. You know, and they've thrown away a 2-goal cushion. What's to say? You know, in a couple of weeks they go to Bristol City and they're 1-0 up away from home at Ashton Gate with 5 minutes to go, and then they let crosses come in and don't pick up, you know, Sinclair Armstrong, and he heads one in. Hopefully this kind of refocuses the mind a little bit and gives them a bit of a shot across their bows, a bit of a wake up call. Because as I say, they were 3-1 up and they were they were in tomorrow night's draw and we were all celebrating, I don't know, it won't be a trip to Blackburn, will it, because they've gone out, but insert average Championship team, Preston away at the end of the month. But alas, that isn't going to be the case. So that's it from here at Wrexham. A couple of quick transfer things. So there's no news on Puerta yet. That Puerta relay, all that is tied in with the appeal. We don't know the outcome of the appeal yet. We're still waiting. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that the appeal was heard on Wednesday. It's a week tomorrow. It's a week since that 4-hour hearing was heard, and we still don't know. It's only 2 weeks until the window closes. I think it's a shambles that decision hasn't been made clear, and so City know what they're dealing with. Yes, people will blame and say City shouldn't have been. It's their own fault they're in that situation, and fine. But the fact is that it's a week on now from the hearing. It's a joke, really, that hasn't been dealt with. But, get a grip. Get that decision out quickly, and then the club know what they're dealing with. Interesting, Toby Collier. There's a lot of interest in him from Manchester United. Remains to be seen how that one plays out over the next few days. But I think there's a hope that they'll get that done. We're still waiting on the EFL to confirm the Akintola and Brandon Williams deals. So there's a kind of the EFL have got a fairly large to-do list, I think, regarding Hull City in terms of Akintola, Brandon Williams, and what happens with the appeal. So, but I wonder now if Ajay's injury, depending on the severity of it, if they go back into the market and try and sign the centre half. The issue they have got, as I said on Saturday, is they are right maxed out in terms of FFP. So they were given essentially an overall salary cap as part of their kind of financial management with the EFL, their agreement, and they're pretty much on that on that marker now, and they have not got a huge amount of wriggle room within financial fair play or whatever terminology you want to call it. So they might want to go out and try. If let's say Ajay's out for 6 weeks, 3 months, however long it's going to be, do they go out into the market and try and find cover, or do they think we'll stick with it? The problem you've got, as I said before, and we've highlighted this a million times, is Egan had injury difficulties last season. Firmino had injury difficulties last season. Charlie Hughes had injury difficulties last season, as did Ajay. So you've got 4 centre-halves that have had injury problems, and all it takes now is one of them to get a knock on Saturday, on Sunday, or the following week, and they've got a bit of a problem. So I wonder if they might dip into the market, but I guess that will wait on the outcome of two things: of the appeal, of course, and also the scan for Shemi. Which, as I say, I'm gutted for him. I spoke to him after the game on Saturday, and I was like, "How are you feeling?" Obviously, it's kind of ironic, really. You had all your injury difficulties last year. You absolutely brilliant, as I say, colossus at Coventry. How are you feeling? Yeah, great. Feel fine. Body's great. Bang, hamstring, and obviously more severe than we first thought. So that's a real shame for him. Gutted for him, because I think he's fantastic, and he really, had he have been on the pitch tonight, I'm not convinced that would have happened. But that's hypotheticals. We'll never ever know. But like I say, my overriding feeling, apart from just like, will we ever see this football club win a cup game again? For those that are counting, I think Leeds United, the last Carabao Cup win was Leeds United on penalties in 2020, and then we went to West Ham, and the lights have gone out. So that's my cue, isn't it, to go back home? Anyway, I better go now because the lights have gone off. That means I've got to go. We will have press on Friday afternoon with the gaffer. Lots of news, I think, to come. Hopefully, by the time we get to the training ground on Friday, we'll have an outcome with the appeal, a little bit more clarity on everything: Puerta, Lalui, Williams, Akintola, potentially Collier, and maybe 1 or 2 more. So let's wait and see what happens over the next few days. So I'm going to go now. If you were here today, I thought that the away fans were brilliant tonight. Safe trip back to East Yorkshire. Plenty to come over the next couple of days, of course, on the website. Hopefully we will have a podcast. Apologies that we've not had one since Coventry, but it's just Catherine's away, Fletcher's stuck in his broom cupboard, Prutz is hobnobbing with the hoi polloi, and Burns is still getting better. So yeah, Brian, you're not wrong. This is my best luck actually now. Anyway, on that bombshell, safe travels back home, everybody, and we will catch you again soon. Up those Tigers.